Thanks for tuning in to Heavy, your one-stop shop for rock, punk and metal. Each week we speak with local, national and international bands about their new albums and what they're up to. Today's victim is...
I'm Nadine and I play drums in Melbourne band The Prize.
Beautiful. Nadine, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. So The Prize have had a pretty big year so far and there's a lot to get through. So we'll start with your debut EP, Wrong Side of Town, that came out earlier this month. So how's the initial reception been?
It's we were very surprised. We released the EP, I think maybe 3 weeks ago now, and it sold out in 24 hours online. So nice. That was pretty cool. Yeah, so we put that out through Anti-Fade Records, which is a Melbourne-based label, and yeah, the response has been really, really great. We've kept a few copies to sell at our launch this weekend, though, so you can still get it through us.
Very cool. So tell us a bit about the EP musically and what you were going for with it.
Yeah, so we recorded it with Matt Blatch, who plays in a band called the Murlocs and Beans. We did it at the King Gizzard Studios while they were touring overseas. They kindly let us use their space, so that was really fun. And yeah, we've done 4 tracks, 3 original songs and 1 cover, which is by a UK band from the late 70s called the Incredible Kidder Band. Yeah.
Very cool. So as a young band, like, what's the thought process going into your debut EP? Do you just sort of put on everything you've got, or do you plan things out?
We kind of, we just sort of picked the four tracks from our set that we thought would work as a first release. 2 of them were the first songs that we wrote as a band. And yeah, I think they sort of represent the sound of the band well. So yeah, it's sort of a cross between punk and power pop, late 70s, a lot of late 70s, early 80s influence.
Very cool. The Prize is still fresh on the scene, forming only early last year in the middle of COVID, mate. So how difficult was it getting your name out there and your music out there without being able to tour?
Yeah, it was kind of lucky that not lucky, but we started during COVID. So it was a bit of a slow process to get started because we were all, we couldn't hang out in the same room. So someone would write a riff and then send it across, and then we'd work on it individually. And then when we finally were out of lockdown and had the opportunity to jam together, as sort of when we stuck the puzzle together, I guess. And then I was singing and playing. I sing and play drums in the band, and I actually couldn't sing and play drums at the same time when we first started the band. So I had a good 6 months of lockdown to figure that out.
Nice.
Yeah, so I finally got my head around it.
What are the difficult things about playing drums and singing at the same time? Like, why is it so difficult?
Just remembering to breathe is one thing. You can kind of run out of air pretty quickly when if you're concentrating on drumming and then you've got to sing and you're like, oh, I haven't taken a breath for a while.
That could be dangerous.
Yeah, just fainting on the yeah, so just sort of I've focused on getting my stamina up with that, and just I guess it's kind of like tapping your head and rubbing your tummy at the same time. It's like,
got to practice it.
Practice it,
yeah. So talking about your music, the press release says that The Prize stumbled across a blend of power pop and rock and roll. And how do you stumble across something like that?
Yeah, I don't know who used that word. Someone in the marketing. Well, I think, I don't know if stumble across is the right word. I think we've all been heavily influenced by both genres in different ways, some of the members more than others. And then when we put it all together, that's sort of the sound that came out of us. Like, I've always loved power pop and, the Ramones, and something with a great melody and hook. And our guitarist Joe's always been really into bands like the Angels and Cheap Trick and those big sort of guitar bands. So I guess like forces combined, we came out with a sound that's sort of sits in between the two, I guess.
Yeah, cool. So again, as a young band, like, you're taking influences from a lot of genres that have been around and bands that have been around for ages. Like, how do you take that older sort of music and turn it into your own?
I think that just, you have no control over that. It comes down to, like, your skill. It comes down to the sound of your voice. And, you know, everyone in the band brings like their own sort of flavor to it. So we definitely take influence from a lot of that sort of late 70s music, but I think our version of it is the 2022 version.
Very good. And you're a 5-piece band with 3 guitarists and 5-part vocal harmonies. So does it make it easier or harder in the writing process having so many contributing members?
I think it actually we work well together just because we've been playing so many gigs. I think the recording process for us, it was pretty quick, really. We recorded the 7-inch in a day. We're relatively well rehearsed, and singing in a studio is much easier than live in a lot of ways because you get to have a few cracks at it, whereas live it's like, oh well, that one was a bit off, but
not much I can do.
yeah so sort of but the good thing about playing live with that many vocals is there's sort of always someone singing. So if I need to like pull back for a minute and take a breath of air, then there's always someone else piping up at the same time. So it fills in those gaps.
And the band's first live show was actually at a sold-out gig at the Croxton Bandroom supporting CIVIC in November of last year. So how daunting was that, playing your first show to a sold-out crowd?
Yeah, we're pretty scared.
Well, thanks for your honesty.
Yeah. Our guitarist, Ozzy, it was his first gig ever playing on a stage. Wow. So, yeah, and then we sort of went from that to, you know, playing bars in Melbourne and then doing a tour with the Chats and playing to 2,000 people a night. So we're still trying to catch up with ourselves. So,
I bet you.
This will happen pretty quickly, but, you know, cool opportunities come up and you just got to jump in the deep end, I reckon.
Oh, yeah. And you mentioned the tour with the Chats. You've just finished a national run of shows with them, so that would have been pretty wild.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was really fun. We didn't realise that the shows were all ages. And we walked out on stage the first night, I think it was in Tassie, and I thought maybe there'd be 100 people there or something. We're the opening band, but it was full. And I was like, oh, wow, 18-year-olds look really young these days, but turned out to be like 7. So they went mental. Like, I don't think they get a whole bunch of bands playing in Tassie. There's barely any like live music venues in Hobart now. So yeah, it was they treated us like we were Metallica playing at a huge festival or something.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
So when you're out on the road, the Chats for something like that, like, so it's your first major tour, so do you take mental notes for the future, or do you just sort of take the experience in as you go?
Yeah, after that first one, I was like a bit of a deer in the headlights, I think. The crowd reception and the size of the show was not what I'd anticipated, and so I had to quickly be like, all right, know what to expect for the next one now, and we've really got to bring it, I guess, because just your delivery on stage and the way you interact with the crowd for those sort of scale of shows is a bit different to playing at the Tote in Melbourne or something. So yeah, we're definitely taking notes and trying to adapt as quickly as we can to what's happening.
And you've got a couple of EP launch shows of your own coming up soon. You've got one at the John Curtin Hotel in Melbourne on October 1st and the Botany View Hotel in Sydney on October 28th. So tell us a bit about them.
Yeah, so the 28th one actually got moved to the Lansdowne, but yeah, that got announced to yesterday, and that's with RMFC, who are awesome. If you haven't heard them yet, they're really fun, and it's Halloween weekend, so they're getting a Ramones cover band to play on that bill.
Nice.
Someone asked you, hold me back from gate crashing that set and trying to sing all the songs. And yeah, Saturday we've got our Melbourne launch here with the Blinds, Brickhead, and the Glass Picture, who are some really great Melbourne bands. And yeah, we're really looking forward to that one. We're going to be playing some songs we haven't played live before, and we're going to try and pull a few tricks out for that one. Nice.
Sounds like fun. Well, all right. Thanks for your time today, Nadine. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. The debut EP, Wrong Side of Town, is out now, and there's a few shows coming up. So getting to support some local Aussie music.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me, Chris.